Most people never notice it until it's too late. A moment so small it could be dismissed, yet it quietly changes everything. A comment left unanswered. A prompt ignored. A question met with stillness instead of explanation. The room tilts. Something has shifted, even if no one can name it. You've been trained to believe that power must be spoken, expressed, shown. Confidence is loud. Authority is demonstrated. Reaction is expected. And so when you don't respond, that silence feels risky. Your body tenses. Your mind races. Do they think I'm weak? Do they see me as unprepared? Am I missing my chance? But here's the destabilizing truth. It isn't your risk, it's theirs. Control has subtly moved. Social interaction is a map, and reactions are the landmarks. Every time you answer, clarify, defend, or justify, you draw those landmarks for others. Remove the response, and suddenly the map disappears. People stumble. They overcompensate. They speak too much, reveal too much, adjust too often. Your quiet has turned the tables without a word. Silence is no absence. It is an invisible lever. Every pause becomes a gauge of their intentions. Every still moment extracts more information than 100 questions could. The nervous smile, the repeated explanation, the hesitation. They're all gifts, clues about their confidence, motives, and vulnerabilities. And the faster you react, the more control you hand over. This is the first lesson of non-reaction. Power doesn't demand display. It accumulates quietly, in the spaces where others expect sound. It exists in your ability to remain unmoved, while everything else shifts. Labels will follow, cold, detached, unresponsive, but they are not judgments. They are echoes of a world unsettled by someone who refuses to perform on cue. Your stillness is not weakness. It is presence. It is leverage. It is a quiet force that pressures others to reveal themselves first, that compels them to act into your hands. And just like that, without a word, you've begun to shape the room. Once you've discovered the power of silence, something remarkable happens. You start noticing the signals people can't hide. It's subtle at first, a shift in tone, a flicker of impatience, a glance that lingers too long. The moment you pause instead of responding, the room begins to reveal itself. This isn't about confrontation. It's about observation. You're no longer chasing reactions. You're watching them emerge. People are not used to empty space. They want feedback, reassurance, confirmation. When you withhold it, they begin filling it themselves. Words spill faster. Explanations multiply. Gestures become more pronounced. The quiet becomes a lens, showing you what was hidden before. Different personalities react in predictable ways. The provoker, the one who thrives on pushing buttons, escalates subtly, testing boundaries, seeking a crack. The dominant talker, confident in control, loses the certainty they rely on, over-explaining without direction. Even the manipulator, skilled at bending emotions, struggles when they cannot predict your response. In silence, the social hierarchy begins to recalibrate, and you are at the center of it. Think beyond small interactions. Imagine a group debate, a negotiation, a family discussion. Someone expects a pushback. Instead, you remain still. Their words spill out, unfiltered. Their intentions, insecurities, and priorities become visible, without you asking. You are no longer reacting, you are witnessing the architecture of behavior as it unfolds. Labels will appear: aloof, unfeeling, detached. Do not mistake them for criticism. They are indicators of the discomfort your silence causes. Each label is a reflection of a system unsettled by your refusal to comply with predictable reactions. The key insight of this module: every moment you resist reacting, you gain more than quiet. You gain clarity. You see patterns, motives, and vulnerabilities that those around you are unaware they're exposing. Silence becomes a tool, not just for control, but for understanding. You begin to map the landscape of influence without ever uttering a word. Non-reaction is not passivity, it's active perception. Every unspoken word magnifies your awareness. Every pause becomes a strategic instrument. And in that awareness, true leverage quietly begins to accumulate. Once you've experienced the subtle shift that non-reaction creates, the next step is learning to see the patterns beneath the surface. Silence alone is powerful, but real mastery comes when you understand why people move the way they do, and how their behavior consistently reveals leverage, intent, and priorities. Every interaction is a web of cues, signals, and energy. Some people thrive on attention, others on control, some on unpredictability. When you stop reacting, the hidden structures begin to surface. The provoker, who seeks to dominate, will unconsciously escalate. The dominant talker, who values narrative, will overextend. Even the quiet manipulator may expose the gaps they rely on. What looks like chaos to others becomes data to you. A map of motives, priorities, and vulnerabilities. Notice the rhythm of social exchange. People overcommit words when they feel unanchored. They hedge, they clarify, they push for affirmation. Every pause you hold becomes a lens, revealing patterns others assume are invisible. Once you start recognizing these patterns, you no longer rely on random observation. You begin to predict moves before they happen. You anticipate overreach, detect bluffing, and see who genuinely holds authority versus who performs it. Non-reaction isn't just a shield. It's a tool for understanding the rules of influence at a structural level. It allows you to step outside the immediate flow of emotion and see the larger architecture of interactions, the pushes, the pulls, the invisible forces shaping outcomes. With this awareness, every social setting, whether a team meeting, a negotiation, or a casual gathering, becomes a map, and your silence becomes the compass that guides it. The more attuned you become to these patterns, the less others can manipulate or surprise you. You no longer need to test, challenge, or defend. Influence accumulates naturally around those who see the web, while others remain caught in its threads. In mastering pattern recognition, silence evolves into strategy, and presence becomes power that doesn't announce itself. It directs quietly, inevitably, and unmistakably. By now, you've learned that silence is more than the absence of words. It's a lens through which patterns reveal themselves. But insight alone is not influence. Every interaction carries energy. Those who overextend, react impulsively, or push for dominance are essentially leaving gaps. When you do not engage with their prompts, you begin to occupy the space they vacate. Your restraint becomes gravitational. Influence moves toward calm, steady centers. In other words, your silence starts to guide outcomes without the need for assertion. Strategic influence works like this: you allow the world to act first, while you remain the reference point. Others' energy, intent, and vulnerabilities naturally flow toward you. Their attempts to provoke, control, or manipulate simply reinforce your position. The more they act, the more data they provide. Every overreaction, every over-explained justification, every unnecessary clarification becomes a thread you can read and respond to in your own time, if at all. This is control without confrontation. You are no longer reacting within someone else's framework. You are shaping the rules by occupying your own. Strategic silence lets you extract insight, map dynamics, and calibrate influence without ever needing to assert it. It is the subtle art of steering a room, a project, or a conversation, while remaining almost invisible. Every pause you hold, every measured response you choose not to give, every boundary you maintain becomes a lever. Influence flows toward those who resist the pressure to act first, speak first, or prove themselves. Patience and non-reaction are no longer passive, they are tools of authority. By mastering this, you no longer wait for permission to guide outcomes. You are the axis around which social energy rotates. Others' movement illuminates your influence. Their efforts to dominate highlight your control. And in the quiet, steady accumulation of authority, you realize the full truth. Strategic silence is not absence. It is deliberate, undeniable power that unfolds naturally, invisibly, and with inevitability. Silence is currency. Every withheld reaction, every unspoken word, every calm pause is an investment that shifts the balance of influence in your favor. Those around you expend energy, attention, and intention trying to draw a response. By not offering it, you begin to collect the power they thought belonged to them. Think of it as an economy. Attempts to provoke, to dominate, to manipulate, these are deposits of emotional energy. When you remain unreadable, that energy is redirected toward your control. Their jabs, over-explanations, and justifications become data points you use, silently, strategically. Every time they chase a reaction and fail, your position strengthens. This is emotional leverage in motion. You no longer need to assert authority. Authority comes to the one who resists the impulse to react. Every reaction you deny is a transaction in influence. The more you withhold, the more information you gain. The more they act, the more their own control diminishes. Strategic sovereignty thrives here. You do not need to dominate the conversation or the room. The quiet, patient observer becomes the axis around which social dynamics rotate. Non-reaction transforms from a defensive tactic into a commanding presence. A gravitational pull that guides outcomes without noise or effort. And the subtle beauty of this economy? Others' overinvestment confirms your position. Their attempts to provoke, define, or elicit reveal more about them than you. Every misstep, every overreach, every miscalculated escalation is proof of the leverage you hold simply by remaining still. In this space, power is no longer loud, it is accumulated, unseen, and unassailable. All the lessons converge here. Observation, restraint, and leverage culminate in a single truth. Presence alone can command a room, not by force, not by volume, not by reaction, but by the steady, unwavering gravity of strategic silence. Every glance, every pause, every unreadable expression becomes meaningful. You are untethered. Others act first, revealing their intentions, their energy, their weaknesses. In this stillness, patterns emerge. You begin to see who thrives on attention, who crumbles under expectation, who unconsciously exposes their strategy. The room itself becomes a reflection of your calm authority. Presence is influence made tangible. You are not absent. You are the axis. Every movement, every word from others, every attempt to provoke or manipulate becomes a data point flowing toward you. Your restraint channels the interaction. Your non-reaction is the force that shapes it. Power here is emergent, not asserted. It arises naturally from consistency, patience, and unshakable focus. Strategic mastery through presence is about timing, intention, and awareness. You do not chase outcomes, they unfold. You do not force respect, it forms. You do not demand recognition, it gravitates toward the quiet, measured center you occupy. In this state, others' impatience, fear, or overreaction only reinforces your influence. Their attempts to define you highlight your sovereignty. Their energy spent trying to provoke confirms the control you already hold. By embodying presence in this way, silence becomes active authority. Every withheld reaction, every steady gaze, every calm gesture becomes leverage. Influence accumulates not through words, but through the space you claim and maintain. The room bends not to noise, but to the weight of your stillness. And in this culmination, the truth is clear, mastery is quiet, power is subtle, and authority does not need to announce itself. It is felt, undeniable, and irrevocable. If this perspective resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to see the unseen forces around them. Comment below your thoughts or experiences with silence as leverage, and let's uncover how presence shapes outcomes. Thanks for watching, and remember, mastery is quiet, but its impact is undeniable.